was a cold, dark Tuesday, and it was quiet. Too quiet. He was sitting alone in his office when the unthinkable happened. And the name's Bond, Detective James Bond.
Detective, you have to help me!
She looked afraid and confused, lost, but he doubted whatever happened could have been too terrible.
How can I help you, ma'am?
Someone or something bonded with me and stole my electron. I can't figure out who it was. Please help me.
Ma'am, you see, I have more important things to do. These kinds of things happen all too often.
Please, you don't understand. I'm a cation now.
What? Are you positive?
100%, detective.
This was more serious than he thought. Bond had no choice but to take action.
Okay, first things first, ma'am. Who are you?
I'm calcium, sir.
Alright, Calcium. So tell me, why did you decide to start chemically bonding in the first place?
Well, I get lonely sometimes because my outer shell isn't full, so I form chemical bonds to fill it completely with 8 electrons.
So, who do you think stole your electrons?
I'm really not sure.
Who have you chemically bonded with lately?
Well, I was hanging out at this radical polar covalent bonding party the other day, meaning we atoms bonded to share electrons, but they were shared unequally. This is because one atom has a stronger electronegativity than the other, and therefore attracts more electrons. So at the party, I was with hydrogen, carbon, chlorine, and oxygen. Hydrogen and chlorine are good friends, so they bonded and made a molecule of hydrogen chloride. A molecule is 2 or more elements that are covalently bonded. Molecules can be described as distinct pieces, and they are not found in lattices. So anyway, later on, hydrogen bonded with another hydrogen friend, as well as an oxygen, and made water. However, the only friends that I bonded with were carbon and the oxygen.
Tell me more about bonding with carbon and oxygen.
Well, when I joined together with carbon and oxygen, we made calcium carbonate, which is used in many dietary supplements. We are also used in chalk. Since we bond pretty often, calcium carbonate is very common. It's actually found in rocks such as limestone, and it is a major part of pearls and the shells of marine life, such as snails. Sometimes we also end up on Mars, but on Earth we make up more than 4% of the crust and are white in color.
Do you have any photos I can use for evidence?
Oh yeah, this is calcium carbonate. This is water. And this is hydrogen chloride.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is that neither oxygen nor carbon could have taken your electrons at this polar covalent bonding party because you were only sharing your electrons unequally. There was no stealing involved.
Oh my goodness, good thinking, detective.
Okay, so who else could it have been?
Well, so I was with my friends a few days ago, all of which who were metals, and they started forming metallic bonds. You see, metal atoms have strong bonds, yet they easily conduct heat and electricity. The conductivity means that electrons move freely, while the atoms stay in place to make it a solid. Therefore, metallic bonds are the sharing of free electrons among a lattice, or stationary metal cations. Electrons move freely in a general sea, and no longer orbit a single atom.
So, who is bonding?
Well, my good friend copper bonded with tin to make bronze, and copper also joined with zinc to create some brass. I also remember carbon and iron bonding to make some steel. However, I left early because I wasn't feeling well. Here's a picture of my friend Bronze, steel, and brass.
So, are you saying that you left before bonding with any of these metals?
Yes, that's right.
Calcium. If you didn't bond with any other atoms, there's no way that one of them could have stolen one of your electrons.
Gosh darn, you're right.
Did you spend time with any other atoms within these past few days?
Well, I hung out with carbon and hydrogen, and they were non-polarly bonded. First, the 2 carbons bonded with the 2 hydrogens to create acetylene, which is used for fuel, and then the carbons joined with the 4 hydrogens to make ethylene, which is used to ripen fruit. Finally, one of the carbon atoms bonded with all 4 hydrogen ones to make methane. This is acetylene, ethylene, and methane.
Which compound do you remember the most?
They join together to make a nonpolar covalent bond, which is a bond between two atoms with the same electronegativity and with the same partial on each in either end and formed carbon hydride. Carbon hydride is used in everyday energy. A common form of methane, which is a gas used for cooking, and is also commonly found in petroleum, which is a gas used in cars. Methane can come from methanogenic bacteria that produce methane during the decomposition of organic material. Termites, zooplankton, and fish are also responsible for methane emissions. Methane also happens to be the lightest and most abundant hydrocarbon, but makes up less than 1% of the atmosphere and is much lighter than air.
He was growing curious. This hydrogen fellow, whoever they were, kept popping up. How come they seem so unfamiliar?
Tell me more about hydrogen. I don't know much about them.
See, hydrogen is pretty hard to detect by humans. It's colorless, odorless, tasteless, non-metallic, and non-toxic. It's the lightest element, but happens to be the most abundant in the universe, making up about 76%.
Wow, okay. So have you been spending any time with them lately?
I was with hydrogen and a few other friends last night. There was a lot of ionic bonding going on.
All of a sudden, it hit him. They were about to catch their culprit.
Aha! Calcium. Are you aware that ionic bonds are when metallic and non-metallic atoms share electrons so incredibly unequally that the metal practically loses its electron? Do you understand that this creates two oppositely charged ions to draw the atoms together, and this would explain how you are positive? You must have bonded with an atom that you have quite a large difference in electronegativity with.
I had no idea, but there were a bunch of other elements with me. How could I have known which took my electron?
Well, who was there yesterday? Who did you bond with?
Magnesium, oxygen, hydrogen, sodium, bromine, and I were all there. I specifically remember that magnesium and oxygen bonded and formed a formula unit of magnesium oxide. Here's a photo. A formula unit is an ionic bond between atoms. It is a particle that has positive and negative forces that balance out. Formula units are considered to be a part of an ionic crystal lattice, which is an arrangement of ions in a geometric shape. Yeet!
What else happened?
Okay, so then sodium and bromine bonded and formed sodium bromide. See? Calcium! Who did you bond with?
This was it. It had all come down to this.
I bonded with, who was it?
Think, and think hard, Calcium. This case could be cracked right now.
It was hydrogen!
I knew it!
Hydrogen and I bonded ionically to form calcium hydride, a common drying agent. Here, I have a photo. We have a salt-like structure and are an alkaline earth hydride. Calcium hydride can be created by reacting calcium and hydrogen between 300 to 400 degrees Celsius. It is also used for hydrogen production as it reacts violently with water to form hydrogen gas. It is odorless and is white in pure form. However, it's most usually impure and is a gray color. Calcium hydride is not soluble in any solvent. It is not flammable but can be hazardous to human health if accidentally inhaled. Look! There she is!
She thinks she's slick. I'll get her!
Go, detective! You don't have to.
I've got you now, Hydrogen! You thought you were a hydro genius, didn't you? I'm taking you to the slammer.
I was just ionic bonding!
Bonding, eh? The only bonding you'll be doing is in your cell. Until next time, Detective Bond,